Hello and welcome to SGPN's The Daily Dog. I'm your host, Britton Hess, and I'm here to give you my 3 favorite Underdog Fantasy plays of the day. If you're new to Underdog Fantasy, sign up with promo code DAILYDOG. Again, that's DAILYDOG at UnderdogFantasy.com or on the Underdog Fantasy app. You can get a $250 deposit match bonus with that, so don't miss out on that plus EV. So let's start out by looking at our plays yesterday, which I think I pretty much nailed the slate, but we didn't win. That's kind of how it goes. The only thing that matters is winning, so it's kind of frustrating when you feel like you do the handicapping right and you get most of the right results, except a couple bad plays here and there ruin it. The first one that was totally accurate was that Braxton Garrett was going to get lit up by the Mets early and often. He allowed over half of a hit in the first inning, which is what we had in our slip. And then we also had Starling Marte to have higher than half a total base in that game. He eclipsed that by hitting a home run off of Braxton Garrett. So, yeah, those were pretty easy. And it was kind of funny because as the day was progressing, I was kind of consuming a bunch of other content in the props and sports betting and, just all sorts of sports space. And I felt like the secret was out that Braxton Garrett has a lot of trouble with this Mets team. But I just kind of felt that as like, well, that's good that everybody else's processes are kind of leading to the same result I am, which is that Braxton Garrett is in trouble, and he definitely was. The painful loss was Jake Irvin, lower than 5.5 hits allowed. So he allowed 6 hits in 6 innings, but 3 of those hits came in the first inning. He started off horribly. If he had a decent first inning, this would have been a no-sweater. He only allowed 1 run. He got the win. He had a good game. Or he had a great game, honestly. He just allowed 6 hits, which is kind of frustrating about this market because hits allowed isn't necessarily always a barometer of how the pitcher plays. I knew Irvin was going to be in a good matchup, but early on in that game, especially in the first inning, too many balls missed gloves, and we did not get home on this, so the slip lost. That said, we are still positive in this short run of this show by putting out 3-leg slips every day. And there's plenty more wins where that came from. Hopefully we can get back to those ways today. And we're starting early. Matt Vierling of the Detroit Tigers, higher than 1.5 total bases against Patrick Corbin and the Nationals. It's Patrick Corbin Day. If you've been around the sports betting space, or the prop space, baseball space, you know that the Nationals often lose when Patrick Corbin is getting the start. In his last, he hasn't had a winning record since 2019 as a starting pitcher. He had right now he's 1-7 in 13 starts. Last year was 10-15 in 32 starts. 2022 6-19 in 31 starts. 2021 9-16 in 31 starts, and 2020 2-7 in 11 starts. That's kind of when the whole downfall started after an injury in that season. So there's a lot of reasons to like this matchup. And also, there's another good matchup in here too for Mark Canha, the teammate of Matt Vierling, to also have higher than 1.5 total bases. I don't mind using both of these guys or choosing Canha for whatever reason you like him, but I am on Vierling for a couple of reasons. The first is that Canha, is 10 of 23 lifetime versus Corbin with a double and a home run, but Vierling is 8 of 15, 533 average, also with a double and a home run, and the Vierling as the leadoff batter has a higher likelihood to get an extra at-bat just in the game. For this pick to hit, he doesn't need to get 1.5 total bases against Corbin. He just needs to get it versus the Nationals in this game. So over the last, I projected it out. Actually, I went through the box scores and counted it out. Over the last 18 games or so, actually it's the last 20 games, Canha has 5 fewer at-bats than Vierling. When you're betting on a 1.5 total bases prop, you want to get every at-bat you can. And also the fact that Vierling's batting average is 37 points higher than Canha. So every at-bat matters, and also the fact that he's got that slightly better average means a lot to me when I'm comparing these two players to putting on my slip. And also just their splits versus lefties. Canha's batting 244 while Vierling's batting 300. So yeah, I like him more in this spot. It's a standard 1x multiplier. Matt Vierling higher than 1.5 total bases against Patrick Corbin and the Nationals. And be sure to get that one in quick because that game starts at 10:15 a.m. Pacific, 1:15 p.m. Eastern. So do not wait and do not drag on that play. Matt Vierling higher than 1.5 total bases. Next, we're going to the ice. I teased earlier in the week that I was going to be coming back to this game with a little bit of an Edmonton lean when we got back to that team's home ice. And, we got some more news. on Wednesday as the Panthers decided to not fly out until the day before the game for some reason. They got delayed. They didn't arrive in Edmonton until about 8 p.m. Mountain Time, which is 10 p.m. Eastern Time. So by the time they get situated in their hotels, getting to sleep, they probably weren't, most of these guys on the team probably weren't fully sleeping until about 12 p.m. 12 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Mountain. So there's a little bit of adjustment there. And I mean, obviously a lot of travel stuff gets overblown because these guys are flying private. It's not like they're sitting at the Delta terminal at, trying to catch a connection in Atlanta. But that said, it definitely throws off their schedule. These are pro athletes and they need to be locked in as much as possible. I had hinted that I would probably be trying to find a way to play Draisaitl higher than half a point in this game, but Underdog has 1.5 listed, and that's a little bit too rich for me. It is a higher multiplier, so I mean, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. The problem is that these games in the finals are just generally kind of lower scoring. So if you need your guy to get over 1.5 points, you need at least 2 goals in this game, scored by the Oilers, and I just don't necessarily expect them to be lighting the lamp every couple minutes in this one. That said, I do expect them to have a great start to this game. So I'm going to be taking Bobrovsky, the Bob, to be allowing higher than half a goal in the first period of this game. Obviously, that travel angle plays a factor, but Edmonton has averaged 1.2 goals per 1 period in the playoffs, and they've scored a first period goal in all 9 of their home playoff games in the 2024 postseason. So they definitely are electric early in front of this home crowd up in Canada. The atmosphere is going to be wild. I know that Florida did a great job of getting the fans hyped up, bringing in celebrities, but hockey means more in Canada, and I think that people are going to be absolutely insane in Edmonton for this game on Thursday night. So yeah, I'm taking Bobrovsky higher than half of a goal allowed in the first period. We saw that happen in the last game they played down in Florida, and a lot has been made about the defensive prowess of the Panthers and how they kind of can shut down stars. They did it versus the Rangers. They've done it so far for the most part against Draisaitl and McDavid. So that means guys like Mattias Ekholm, who had that goal in the first period in the last game, need to continue to take the opportunities that are given to them and don't need to take the back seat to the star players on their game. Again, I just don't see a fast start for the Florida in this game. I think that they're going to need a little adjustment period on the road in this one. The travel, I'm not trying to overblow it, but I think it matters at least marginally. And we also know that just given how Edmonton plays on this home ice in the playoffs this year, they're going to be coming out flying. So that little marginal advantage in the weather, in the travel does play a factor, and there's obviously the huge home ice advantage. So we're pairing that with Vierling over 1.5 total bases, with Bobrovsky higher than half a goal allowed in the first period in the Stanley Cup Finals. Last one, it's going to be a white knuckler. You're going to have to, it'd probably be more fun not to watch this one, but we're taking Luis Castillo to allow lower than 4.5 hits against the White Sox. The White Sox have the lowest average against righties, third lowest slugging, lowest BABIP, lowest pretty much every kind of relevant hitting statistic versus righties in MLB. 4.5 is a low number, and Luis Castillo isn't, like Luis Gil, or Heel, I should say. He is, he's an older pitcher who's been all over the league. That said, he is still very good, and this is a chance for him to have a gem of a game, a throwback performance versus a team that is pretty horrible. I mean, and now it's becoming a joke in betting circles, is that if the White Sox tie or take a lead in the second half of the game, you just need to bet on the other side live, because that is going to be money in the bank. They've blown so many leads, so many tie games over the last month, or the whole season basically. They either get blown out or they blow a lead. It's so rare for them to see a win, even from an advantageous position, but that doesn't necessarily affect us on this pick. So Castillo, I already said that the White Sox have horrible just baseline batting metrics versus righties, and you're thinking about who can hurt you in this play. Luis Robert has obviously been great since he's been back from injury. He's one of the best hitters in the AL for sure, maybe MLB. It'd be cool to see him on a team where he had a lot more, when he had better players who could offer him some more support in the lineup, but that's neither here nor there. Robert has faced off against Castillo 3 times, and he's gone 0 for 3. No one in the projected 5 of the White Sox order has had any meaningful success against Castillo. The guy who's seen him the most in that top 5 is Martin Maldonado, who's 1 for 8 for his career. And then back of the order, Paul DeJong is 10 of 35, but he hasn't faced Castillo since 2021 when Castillo was a Red and he was when he was a St. Louis Cardinal. So I don't necessarily think that success, if you want to call batting 286 versus pitchers, is all that successful. I don't know if I want to put too much stock in that because, again, that happened over 3 years ago. And most of those lineups were in the 20 teens, or most of those matchups were in the 20 teens. So, yeah, I am going to be white knuckling this, hoping for Castillo just to keep the White Sox off of the base. Obviously Castillo can strike guys out. It's not his main thing, definitely not his main thing. But I think the low BABIP of the White Sox is key in this matchup. Maybe they make a lot of contact, but we need the defense to perform for the Mariners in this one. So, yeah, let's have Castillo get a throwback game. These 3 plays put together is a big multiplier, 5.44x, I believe we got right here on Underdog. 5.94. So if we hit this one, we are going to be sitting pretty for the week. I honestly, when I make these lineups, I don't even look at what the multiplier is until, I have my plays selected. So don't worry about me chasing, trying to get a big payout. That's really not the point of this. The point of this is to try to make some money. Is to try to make some money. So yeah, this is a great payout and I'm comfortable with all these plays. So please take them. There was also a couple other spots that I was looking for in this game that I kind of just barely left out. One is the less than half of a hit allowed between Crochet and Castillo in the first run of that Mariners-White Sox game. I think that's kind of a smash spot. You need to use it. The only problem is that you can't use that with other MLB plays, and I didn't want to add 2 hockey picks onto this lineup, so I left it out. But I think you should definitely consider that in a lot of your lineups because, Garrett Crochet is obviously one of the young phenom pitchers in the league. I already told you that Luis Castillo is in a great matchup. And I would also look at first inning strikeouts, at least 1, maybe over 1.5 for Crochet. The strikeout rate for these guys in the top of the order for the Mariners is pretty atrocious. They're the worst strikeout team versus lefties in the league. So that makes sense. Josh Rojas, 36% K rate. Julio Rodriguez, 29% K rate. Mitch Garver, 25% K rate. Cal Raleigh, 30% K rate. So a lot of strikeouts for Crochet in this one. And again, I think he's going to have first inning success. So if you are looking for a play to add to your lineup later in the day, definitely check out Crochet and Castillo, less than half of a earned run in the first inning. And I also just really wanted to attack Justin Steele. I couldn't necessarily find a way to make it work with the way the board is set up right now. But later in the day, when his earned runs allowed goes up, I'm going to be taking higher than 2.5 earned runs allowed as fast as possible. So keep that in consideration. Also, be sure to be following me on Twitter, on YouTube, on podcast, wherever you listen, because I do put out some different content on other platforms. When there's a good promo up on Underdog, I definitely try to put out a reel as fast as possible on YouTube and on Twitter. TikTok is going to be in the fold soon, probably in the next coming days. And then I'm also going to try to start posting some more pick'em content that is not necessarily related to Underdog specifically. So be on the lookout for that. None of that stuff that is not necessarily 100% related to Underdog is going to be on the YouTube channel. So you definitely need to be following me on Twitter for that stuff. Thank you guys for watching. Now let's make some money.